Today we will be continuing our work on Chapter 17, discussing more methods of depreciation. We will be discussing 17-3, the declining balance method. We will explain the importance of residual value in the depreciation schedule, as well as how to prepare a depreciation schedule using the declining balance method. The declining balance method is another type of accelerated depreciation that takes larger amounts of depreciation expense in the earliest years of the asset. If you remember, the straight line method estimates the useful life of the asset and distributes the exact same amount of depreciation over the useful life. To take up larger amounts of depreciation expense in the earliest years of an asset's life, we must first determine the straight line rate and double it so that it is used up at twice the rate. It is important to remember that when figuring depreciation using the declining balance method, we do not deduct residual value in the calculation of depreciation expense. For example, Ajax Company buys equipment and the company estimates how many units the equipment can produce. So let's assume that the equipment has a useful life of 4,000 units. After 5 years, the residual value is $500. Calculate depreciation expense and complete a depreciation schedule using the declining balance method. If you remember, Ajax Company in Unit 17.1 bought the equipment for $2,500. So, in order to calculate the rate for declining balance, we first have to find the single straight line rate. The straight line rate is 1/5 because we're distributing depreciation equally over 5 years. So we're taking 1/5 each year, or 20%. For the declining balance method, we need to double this rate so that it goes from 20% to 40%. So in the first year, we will take 40% depreciation, and that is the rate each year. To get the depreciation expense each year, you take the book value of the equipment at the beginning of the year and multiply it times the depreciation rate. Notice we're taking the book value, not the cost. So this is your depreciation schedule for a declining balance depreciation problem. First column, you have the end of year 1. Second column, you have the cost of the equipment. Then we discuss how much accumulated depreciation is at the beginning of the year. In year 1, there will not be any depreciation taken yet, so there is no accumulated depreciation at the beginning of year 1. The book value is your cost minus accumulated depreciation. Since there is no accumulated depreciation in year 1, your book value is equal to the cost. So then you determine depreciation. Book value at the beginning of the year from this column right here times the rate that we previously calculated. So 2,500 times 0.4, our depreciation in the first year is $1,000. So our accumulated depreciation at the end of the year is 1,000. We didn't have any, and we took 1,000. So accumulated depreciation at the end of the year is 1,000. Book value at the end of the year is your cost of your equipment minus your accumulated depreciation at the end of the year. So our book value at the end of year 1 is $1,500. As you can see, we're taking a lot more depreciation than we did when we did it with the straight line method. When we did depreciation with the straight line method, we took $400 a year. We're taking $1,000 here. Year 2, pay close attention to year 2. Your cost of your equipment remains the same. Your accumulated depreciation at the beginning of the year is $1,000. This $1,000 comes from your accumulated depreciation at the end of the year. So your book value at the beginning of the year is $1,500. Your cost minus your beginning accumulated depreciation gives you your book value. This is the number that you will use to calculate depreciation. 1,500 times 0.4. You're going to take $600 of depreciation in year 2. Your accumulated depreciation at the end of year 2 is your beginning accumulated depreciation plus your depreciation expense for the year gives you your accumulated for the end of the year. Your book value at the end of year 2 is your cost of $2,500 less your accumulated depreciation at the end of the year of $1,600. Gives you a book value of $900. Year 3, cost of the equipment remains the same. Pull your ending year accumulated depreciation down to get your book value. Notice your book value at the beginning of the year, $900, is the same as your book value at the end of the previous year. You can check yourself. This number here should be the same as this, but it should also be cost minus your accumulated depreciation at the beginning of the year. This book value is what you then take for depreciation. 900 times 0.4 gives you $360 for the year. Your beginning accumulated depreciation plus your plus your 360 equals 1960 for depreciation accumulated at the end of the year. Your book value at the end of year 3 is $540. Your $2,500 less 1960 equals $540. Pause for just a second and think back. What did we say the residual value was of this equipment? Correct. It's $500. So if you remember, book value cannot go below residual value. Therefore, in this year, you will only be taking $40 of depreciation. If you took more, your book value would go below residual. Your cost is the same. Your accumulated depreciation is $1,960, so your book value is $540. If you were to take 40% of this number like you have been, then your book value would fall below residual value. This is similar to the units of production method, when we have to be careful to make sure that we don't depreciate more units to get us past residual value. And this year, even though we're only in year 4 of a 5-year useful life, we can only take $40 of depreciation. Therefore, in year 5, we do not take any depreciation. We've already reached our book value at the end of year 4. Our book value has already reached residual value. So we cannot take any additional depreciation in year 5.